Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Janine Esposito, the Executive Director of the Hive.
I'm Frederick Chu, Artistic Director of the Hive.
The goal of this presentation is to update you on what the Hive is and what the Hive will be going forward. We've done a lot of work on creating the Hive together with a whole bunch of executive directors of arts and community organizations. We want you to understand what the Hive is, how the Hive works, and give you an opportunity to sign up to become a member of the Hive Partner Network. So the first thing that we want to share is who and what drives the Hive. Just tell you a little bit about ourselves. Frederick, you want to go first?
Sure. I have 40 years experience as a concert pianist. I have played in all 50 states in the US and 37 different countries, made 32 albums. I teach at Carnegie Mellon University and at the Art School in Hartford. And I have developed a special heart, mind, body approach to performance, not just for pianists, but also for other creatives and just people in general in terms of peak performance. I've taught at more than 40 universities and conservatories, more than 20 piano competitions, and 20 music teachers conferences across the US. So I'm bringing all of that experience to the Hive.
And I'm Janine Esposito. I have a 30-year career in strategy and innovation. Started doing innovation consulting with 45 multinational companies before people were really using the word, then helped those companies develop innovation departments. I then moved on to use some of the tools that I brought to that to work with community organizations, arts organizations, and got a pretty large IMLS grant through Connecticut State Library to teach innovation and transformation to 64 libraries in 13 states. And to really teach those organizations these Excite transformation tools, which allowed them to understand the deeper needs of their community and customers and to innovate their programs and services to transform how they serve. I'm also a visual artist. In 2012, we bought a property and we started something called Beechwood Arts, a place where we had about 100 arts immersion salons. And an arts immersion salon was bringing together music, art, film, performance, and culinary art all around a human-centered theme for people to come together and collaborate. And we kind of wove this tapestry of people from all kinds of different backgrounds, not just people from the town that we were in, which was Westport, but from all over. We really set out a goal to explore themes of being human through the arts and to have meaningful community conversations. And we did that for 12 years. Once we sold that venue, started thinking about how could we bring this to more organizations across Fairfield County. Even though the Hive is new, we've been facilitating all of the different types of conversations, the training, the consulting that the Hive offers for many years for organizations that are community-driven organizations. So in February, March last year, that's when we designed the concept of the Hive, the logo, the website, and then we set out to do a lot of interaction and listening. We really wanted to do a deep dive with executive directors from arts and community-driven organizations by taking time to listen. May to September of 2024, we held 5 deep dive Hive gatherings, which are gatherings of anywhere from 10 to 14 people around a table, and you explore themes of being human. These we did around sense of community, and we had the EDs reflect on themselves personally. What was a positive sense of community? You went somewhere and it was just a really positive experience. And we also had them reflect on a time where it was a really negative, the opposite of a sense of community. And we did a deep dive because we wanted them to see what community will experience when these kinds of conversations are facilitated. They really loved the conversations and we got a lot out of it. And they gave us a lot of feedback on how they'd like to see this happen in their communities and their organizations. We also did some of these with younger audiences to see how they reacted to it. And I have to say, I really think this is a key to getting the 20-somethings and the 30-somethings to come to arts and community events more than they do. They consume the arts in a really different way. And having engagement, having interaction is a really important part of it. Turning the audience towards each other as opposed to always out towards something else, I think is going to be a key to these next generations. And then we also had separate executive director meetings with organizations after that, 30 of them attending the deep dive roundtables, 18 others that we met in either individual meetings or town organization meetings. Altogether, we met with about 48 organizations across Fairfield County. We then hosted 3 Hive Connect community events. We did 2 lit sessions, one at the Westport Library and an artist story share at the Westport Library. And these are performances that we curated and facilitated, and we facilitated Hive Connect conversations after those. After doing all of that and compiling all the information from that, we hosted a Hive Partner Network conference. It's 27 arts, culture, and community organizations signed up. It was generously hosted at the Carriage-Bonnet Arts Center. And that's what we plan to do with the network, is to each meeting would be at a different location. There are a lot of breakouts, creating exactly how we all wanted this to work. It became very clear that no matter the type of organization, no matter the size of the organization, no matter how many programs you run, you can get value out of joining the Hive Partner Network. And throughout all of these meetings, we conducted research. We did a couple of surveys. We did a lot of deep dive conversations. So we got a lot of input from organizations, executive directors on what they wanted to see.
So we'd like to take a moment here to say thank you to David Green. David, as many of you know, was an invaluable collaborator, a friend. He was a champion of the Hive, and also he was just an amazing cultural connector. We could never have done this past year without David, without him contacting people, without him being an expert nudger of many throughout the building of the Hive. David, you're missed, but we know you're going to be by our side during this Hive launch. So thank you.
We asked executive directors, what do you like about the Hive? First, about the Hive Partner Network. Of course, it's the exchange of ideas, the ability to connect with and be inspired by colleagues. The second area was about the community engagement, getting deeper engagement from community. People like the idea of a human pollinator pathway, the large number of people that could be reached, the fact that it's inclusive. They like the Hive values and definition of community, the fact that the Hive creates arts-fueled empathy and connection and cross-pollination among community and across communities. They like the community-focused and facilitated dialogue. And I do know that the facilitated dialogue helps hold space for people to participate that might not otherwise feel safe to do so. We also asked a slightly different question: what excites you about being part of it? And here's the things that they said: creating new connections, brainstorming, innovation, sharing, deepening engagement. We asked executive directors, what are the benefits to your organization for joining the Hive Network? There are 3 areas that they mentioned. One is organization sharing, costs, resource, program funding, strengthening my organization through affiliation opportunities, peer collaboration. We talked about that a lot. Sharing knowledge, experience, successes, and failures. That's also really important because everyone's in a different place. And then just being able to have new connections, which lead to opportunities. One of the things that came out also loud and clear is many EDs felt that this is a future-focused approach, that participating in a future-forward, fresh, innovative approach to connecting and collaborating across orgs was something that really excited them. We asked, what are the benefits of program sharing? We did a lot of talking about program sharing. I'm not going to go into it in too much detail here. A lot of organizations were interested in program sharing. There's a lot of things to work out. but 77% said yes, they would participate in a program sharing. But what would make this a success? And you can see the fact that it broadens our audience, that it's non-competitive, that it's flexible, a consistent approach to planning would allow us to easily share programs, things like that. Just to start off with our values, vision, mission, our values do embody the ethos of a beehive. So if you're going to name yourself the Hive, you read up on what happens in a beehive. But the values are enthusiastic collaboration, continual communication, flexibility, transformation and respect, empathy, and belonging. We knew it was going to be all about community. We thought we would look up the word community in the dictionary. So when you look up community, it's about common interests, about shared ideas, about living in the same place. It was all about people who have things in common are a community. And that's not exactly what we wanted. So we looked a little further and we came up with the term sense of community. And when we Googled that, almost every description of it considered the word belonging. And it's about a sense of belonging, a feeling of belonging. And we realized that that's really what we wanted to do with the Hive, is to create that. So our vision is to reveal a broader sense of community, defined simply by being human, to create a spirit of belonging, collaboration, connection within and across communities. And our mission to do that is twofold. And a lot of this came out of the input from the executive directors. So one is to build a human pollinator pathway by creating connection, building empathy, inspiring this sense of community among people of diverse backgrounds and mindsets. By developing these community experiences around themes of being human and fueled by arts, culture, and meaningful dialogue. And mission two is to build a collaborative Hive partner network of community-driven organizations. I have to say, when we first started out, we thought mission one was going to be it. But as we talked to more executive directors, and having been executive directors ourselves for 12 years of an arts organization, we realized exactly what they realized, which is it's a kind of a lonely job to be an executive director. You're really working on your organization, and you really need more peer exchange, some true collaboration to also be able to host Hive conversations for community connection, and also create programs that will broaden audiences and deepen engagement. So having this Hive partner network and some resources to do these things became a really important part of our mission. So what does a human pollinator pathway look like? Well, it's similar to a regular pollinator pathway. There's 13 towns here. If each one of those towns hosted 2 conversations with 25, an audience of 25 people, and it was around a theme, let's say resilience or sense of community, you would already have 650 people across the county who had had the same conversation and shared the same kinds of experiences and understood and connected with each other in a similar way. So we asked EDs to complete this sentence. The Hive is, your answers clearly and consistently revealed a twofold definition. The Hive is a facilitator of community connection, empathy, and understanding. And on the other hand, the Hive is a collaborative working peer network of community organizations. As a facilitator of community connection, there are 3 things that we're going to talk to you about. All of them involve conversations and facilitation, some among your community and others among your stakeholders, including your board, donors, etc. Under the Collaborative Hive Partner Network, there are 3 areas that we're going to talk to you about. One is, what are some of the benefits and resources we can provide to such a network? The second is, how can we help facilitate peer engagement and collaboration? And the third is, what are some of the Hive skills and strategy that we can either teach you through PD or do for you or with you through consulting? So let's start to tell you exactly what is the Hive offering. So first is these Hive Connect conversations. So let's say you have an art show, or you have a performance, or you have an artist talk, or author talk, or some kind of event up on the stage or up on the walls. After that performance is over, And that performance is around a theme like resilience or sense of community, some kind of human theme. We would come in and facilitate a very high energy, quick call out conversation with the audience. I'm going to use an example of the 2 lid sessions we did, one at the library in Westport Library and one that we did at Carnegie Mellon. Frederick created something called the lid sessions. Do you want to say just a little bit about what
The
lid
lid session
sessions
is
are?
an opportunity to showcase people who have a passion practice of playing the piano. Very often they practice every day. They get enormous pleasure from doing the activity, but they don't necessarily go on stage and share with an audience. And so the lid session is an opportunity to bring them out, to have them share their music, and then we facilitated a conversation between the audience and the performers, but not as a Q&A, but as an integrated conversation where
Yeah.
they all shared their experience of the event.
These people are taking a chance and they're going in front of this audience, and we start doing a call out conversation with the audience about who here has a passion practice. What is it about? How many people have shared it? How many people have not? When you do share it, what are you hoping for? When you don't share it, why don't you share it? And it might be things like I'm afraid of being judged. So what we're doing is turning the audience towards each other. Very different than a Q&A. And they're connecting. We've done the audiences of 100 people, but they're connecting. They're hearing other people say the same things they're thinking and feeling. And we're taking the people who played up on stage, instead of standing up there having this Q&A, they sit along the stage and they join the audience. And so everybody is revealing something about their own ideas and thoughts, insecurities, about having a passion practice and sharing it and how they felt. And the amazing thing, whenever we have these Hive Connect conversations, is the audience becomes really engaged in the subject. I'm just going to take the example of the Carnegie Mellon. We had a reception after the event. Usually about maybe 30% of the people will come to a reception. This time, almost the entire audience came to the reception, and they were seeking people out that they had heard call out things that they also felt. And people stayed for a long, in fact, I think they were closing the hall, so we had to move everyone along. But that's not uncommon with a Hive Connect conversation. So it turns audience towards each other. You create unexpected connections, you build empathy, and you deepen engagement around this theme that the performance was. The second is Hive gathering conversation. So with a Hive gathering, the conversation is the event. Usually we recommend starting off with a small arts sharing, a performance, a spoken word, and then gathering everyone around the table. We like it if people could share food because that's just something that adds an element of already sharing something. It's not necessary, and nor is it necessary for it to be an incredible meal, but it could also be a brown bag lunch. It could also be just having some snacks or donuts and coffee, but it's getting around the table. And that's a deep dive conversation. It's based on a proven empathy mapping techniques where you take a situation and you have people reflect on the positive experiences they've had and the negative experiences. You reflect on those and you reflect on how you felt in each of those circumstances. And everybody has a chance to share. There's a facilitator. The facilitation is very important here because you hold space and make it a safe space for people. But the connections that come out of that, a lot of the connections last for a long time. People connect, they get each other's numbers, and they actually get together after those conversations. The third kind of engagement sessions has to do with your stakeholders. So it's your board, your staff, your patrons, your partners, also your community. But I think that it's really great if you can get your stakeholders involved in something in a way where they're collaborating with each other. You learn a lot about 3 things. How does your staff experience your organization? How does your board? How do patrons? How do your partners, your community partners? The second thing is getting them to collaborate together on a future vision, using metaphors to say, what could that future vision be of your organization? Thirdly, it's an ideation around how would we make those things happen? This is great during strategic planning, but you don't have to do it during strategic planning. We did this with many staff of organizations during and after COVID because that upended everything, and they were really powerful sessions. So asking again, what are the benefits to your community and your organization for hosting these kinds of conversations? The fact that it builds trust, it creates connections, it expands and deepens your impact, it gives a sense of community, it broadens audiences. If someone comes to something like this at your organization and they leave having built trust with people they didn't know or creating connections, it reflects on you because they've had that experience at your organization. That is a very positive benefit. Also, we asked about what themes people wanted to explore, the sense of community conversation, so that's front and center. But resilience came up. That was probably one of the best themes that we explored at Beechwood. What types of programs pair well? Any kind of themed performance or talks or exhibits you can pair with a Hive conversation. What elements make programs good to pair? Often it's just having the theme that allows people to connect around something. We asked, what groups would you invite? I was so happy to see this, that everyone understood it applies to all, to everyone. You also have what the usual, youth, seniors, newcomers, people who are like. It's also great to mix those. When we did the BFDs at Beechwood, we went out of our way to make sure we had a mix of ages and backgrounds and people coming from all different places. And that mix actually makes some of the best conversations. So those are the things that we offer that deepen engagement, create connections, build empathy for your community and your stakeholders. Next is, so what about you? What can we do? What can the Hive do for executive directors? One is we can give you some member benefits from becoming a member. You'll get 20% member discounts on all the things that we offer, whether it's a conversation, whether it's consulting, whether it's professional development. You'll have 20% off on all of that. Access to Hive vetted program roster. So first of all, we already have so many programs that we did at Beechwood. We want to create a roster for organizations to come to. Also, a lot of EDs shared with us that they'd like to put things into the roster that they feel could be shown somewhere else or done somewhere else. We would continue to build that roster. Also, the Hive Human Insights database. Every time we run a conversation, we gather all the answers, we categorize them, and we analyze them, and we put them out there. It allows you to get a lot of insights about certain groups, about certain subjects that are going to help you program better for your community. Also, any HPN member will be able to send up to 3 attendees to the 3 main Hive pollinator gatherings for members. We're going to have 3 big meetings a year. At every meeting that we have, we're going to have a time and process for open peer exchange, sharing, and feedback. When we do launch a spring theme, we will engage in collaborative publicity. So we'll say we're doing resilience this spring. Here's all the organizations who are going to be participating. Here's the programs they're going to be doing. Here's the dates, and we'll all send that out. And certainly we will send that out to our thousands of people we were inviting to Beechwood, because we do not have a space now. We are here as the network of the Hive. We would also share resources, share programs. This era is now an era of collaboration, and you'll see it. I'm sure many of you are already seeing this. A lot of grants are requiring collaboration between organizations. So this is a time to take advantage of possibly collaborative grants. And with the work that we're all doing together between community and collaboration, that's kind of a sweet spot for grants. And then the last thing is Hive skills and strategy. So we can either teach you how to facilitate, teach you how to identify the deep needs of your community, or we can do it for you or with you. There are a lot of options, but there are some very basic skills for understanding needs and transforming your organization in response to those needs. And so those are things that we will make available to the network. So now you know everything that the Hive offers, and it's time to join the Hive and take advantage of that membership. We have a special first-year membership of $750, and if you join by July 1st, you get a free Hive Connect community conversation that you can pair with one of your upcoming programs. All you have to do is go to the website, thehivebybeechwood.org, to join. Once you're there, just click on Join the HPN and it'll take you right to where you need to go. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen.
And we look forward to seeing you at the first Hive Pollinator Gathering.